Welcome everyone to the Gateway Gamers podcast. Hey, shout out to my boys, the Gateway Gamers, RP and Brian Marvel. Congratulations on your 100th episode. I understand you guys are looking for some recommendations for board games or, trying to find out what some other folks like. For those that don't know, I am Papa Spice Greg Rice, host of the Papa Spice's Hot Takes with Hans and Harry movie and TV podcast. I know it's quite a mouthful. And I'm joined by my buddy Harry, who admittedly is probably the bigger gamer between the two of us, board gamer.
Thanks.
So, Harry, why don't you enlighten the peeps? What's your go-to game for parties or just even fun?
Well, I got to be honest. This isn't much of a party game because you can only play up to about 4 players. I think you can get expansion for it to get to 5. But definitely if you're looking to have a chill night with, some close friends, people who you can rely on to play games, that's very big for me. There's nothing worse than when you're explaining the rules and you just see the glazed look over people's eyes. The game is called Pandemic. Now I know what you're thinking. We came out of one pretty, a few years back, but this game was actually made in 2013. And what I find so enjoyable about this game, it's you and your team are the only thing standing in the way of a deadly disease that's threatened the world. In this co-op game, the fate of humanity is in your hands. So a lot of times when you think about a lot of games like a Monopoly or a Risk, you're usually playing against the other players in your game. With this, you're all working together. Now, you can have things where it's your turn and you can decide what to do. You don't have to listen to the support of others, but you guys are working together to try and cure all these diseases before, basically you have a pandemic, or I would say an epidemic that, takes over the world. So a lot of cool different strategy comes into it. I feel like I've played this game probably about 10 times in my life. I know that sounds low, but the games are fairly long. But I find it irresistible and want to revisit it every time I play it.
Nice. Yeah, I remember you hosted us
You're one of
quite
my
a while
close
back.
friends.
It might have been actually pre-pandemic, pre-actual pandemic, and we played this over at your crib, and I just had an absolute blast. I like I said, I'm not a huge gamer, but it was a lot of fun. It reminded me of Risk, which I enjoy, except that, like you said, this was more cooperative.
Yeah.
So yeah, I second your notion. I highly recommend checking it out.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on Pandemic?
Yeah, listen, we've all been at those parties where all of a sudden you get the one friend who's a little bit too overzealous and ends up throwing pieces or leaving or damages friendships because you took all their money because they landed on your hotels and Monopoly. The beautiful thing about Pandemic is like you can fight afterwards, but you want to get better and you want to solve this thing together and work together to solve it. There's actually a couple different editions, so there's some expansion packs that you can get with it as well.
Spicy.
Yeah, and you can have some different variations if the game feels a little stale to you. Like I said, it's more for a close-knit group, but I find those to be the best type of game nights. And they actually have one last thing. They actually have a season pass where you can play different seasons where it's kind of a formulated little structure there. I haven't dove into that, but I'm very excited to do so in the future. So yeah, that's our recommendation.
That is very interesting. Well, thanks. And hey, congrats again, boys, on episode 100. Wishing you many continued years of success.
Congrats.
Bye, guys.
Alrighty, thank you, Greg and Harry, for that recommendation. If you don't know, Greg Rice and the boys over at Papa Spice Hot Takes with Hans and Harry, one of my favorite podcasts for TV and television pop culture. They're the only ones I listen to. I can't think of any other good movie and pop culture podcast.
I can think of a pop culture podcast, but maybe not a good one.
Yeah, which one's that?
Mine, dude.
Oh,
Previously recorded, obviously. Plug, come listen. We need the listeners. So
did they you guys send an audio congratulating us for 100th anniversary?
No, it's me.
Well, thank you, Greg Rice, for. No, Greg Rice is an awesome dude. I've known him forever. He just actually hit his 100th episode, so congrats to them.
Hey, it's a big accomplishment.
Yeah, I've been trying to get him on for years to play games, and I'm also trying to weasel my way onto his podcast to talk about movies, to give some spicy hot takes of my own. But thank you so much. RP, we're here today. This is a momentous occasion. This is
Yeah.
our 100th-ish episode. I have been hyping this episode to you for months.
Yes. Yes, you have. We've been on episode 100 on in year 4 for like 6 months. Every time we got together, it'd be like, oh, our 100th episode's coming up, and then we'd be recording in person or over Zoom. And I'm like, is this our 100th? And he goes, I don't know. I don't think so. So, yeah, it's been in the pipeline for quite some time. And what better way to ring in 2025 together than with our 100th episode,
Yep.
which is the
100th-ish.
culmination, 100th-ish, which is the culmination of like almost 74 hours of podcast that we have in the tank. I asked my friend to do the math on that one, and they said add it up on average at ChatGPT. I don't have time to count because normally I would compile it like literally.
That's a good idea. I should have done that.
Hours. I did it for previously recorded,
Mm.
and it was a lot of hours. And so, on average, though, according to ChatGPT, we make up like 75 hours worth of podcast.
And that's just what hits the air. The amount that gets
that gets cut.
The amount of and ums that have been cut out. Probably making up 150. But yeah, 100 episodes is awesome. I think I've said it before that the average podcast goes 7 to 12 episodes.
That makes sense. It's tough.
So to get to 100, yeah. Yeah, it's tough because we've seen our listenership. Like we've went from 4 listeners to 12 to 5 back down to 4. So it's tough.
No, it's really tough for people out there who have a podcast or don't to be able to, when it's not your full-time job, to be able to regularly get together virtually or in person and record something and put it out at a consistent cadence. It's very difficult. Even if it's something we're having fun doing, our everyday life still gets in the way, but you still make time. And especially, Brian's been on previously recorded multiple times, so making, an effort to come on not only his own show, but, my other show. It just is a testament to his passion and his desire to talk nonsense and get some of our words into your ears. But it is very hard, and I think it's something that should be celebrated in an episode of itself because that's a lot of episodes. That's a lot of episodes. There's plenty of TV shows that don't go that long. There's plenty of anything that doesn't go 100 long, 100 issues, 100 issues, 100 episodes. The Simpsons might make 100 seasons. I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
at this point,
and it's a big accomplishment. So I hope you guys like what you're hearing, all the work that goes in, in what you're hearing here, and then what you're seeing. There's a lot of work that goes into that, and Brian does a lot of it. So, anytime you guys send something, whether it's a rating or it's a comment, it goes a long way.
Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody. We were at a wedding over the weekend, and they were kind of like picking my brain. They're like, "Oh, you and RP still do that little podcast?" I'm like, "Yes, our little podcast. Thank you." But
no need to mention whose wedding it was.
Yeah, no, not at all. He didn't send in a congratulations 100 episode. I'm not congratulating him.
I'm just saying, we did get a couple listeners from said wedding though.
Yeah. So I was wheeling and dealing out there in the dance floor, handing out stickers and
the bride plugged the show.
Cards.
The bride plugged the show at the rehearsal dinner, and we got immediately three follows and 3 reviews. So if you're listening, thank you.
Yeah. Welcome. This is your first episode. I'm sorry.
Sorry, if this is your first episode, sorry, we're not talking about games.
Yeah. But like I was saying, he was just kind of asking. He's just like, "Oh, like you guys still doing it?" I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "Until it's not fun, like it's just like we're gonna keep trucking along." And I mean, it still is fun. And the day it's not, we'll just go, okay, walk away because, like you said, it's not our job. So
yeah,
but
I mean,
I still enjoy it. I enjoy the process of editing and creating. It's tough to get together, but what we do, it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for our 100th episode, besides reaching out to some of our friends to congratulate us and also cheap plug their own projects, I had a few listeners ask questions. I think it's always like a good feedback type episode, or these episodes that kind of get to know us better, as well as like the show and like where we're coming
Yeah,
from.
absolutely.
So I didn't pitch any of these to you, which is a bit unfair, but it is what it is.
Oh, wait, you had time to prep for these, and I got to answer them on the spot?
I didn't do a lot of prep, but I had to compile the questions as they were getting sent in.
All right.
All right. So one of them, I don't know if this is board game related or just anybody, but are there any dream guests you would love to have on the podcast?
Okay.
So I'll just go, since you don't really know too many people besides Mr. Hat, as you call him, Tom Vassell. We'll just say a celebrity. So if we could have a celebrity come on and play like board games with us, who would you want to come on?
Good question. I will tell you from a creator standpoint, I would love to have David and Chenzi on the podcast.
Okay.
Creators of Made Up Movie Game, which has been a hit, even with people who typically don't like games, has been a hit for us.
Mm-hmm.
Future
guests for sure.
Hopefully. But if I had to invite a celebrity on to come play games with us, why not Vin Diesel? Why not? He's a D&D fan. Family, Fast and Furious. That's all I could think of on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the celebrity I would want to hang out with, but that's one I think that would. Brie Larson. Brie Larson. I think she's a big gamer. Video game at least, like the standard stuff. So why not? I love her.
Yeah, I said Quentin Tarantino. So I found out from his podcast that he has a giant board game collection of like movie-based board games, which doesn't surprise me at all. So he like any game that's kind of made with the movie IP, he like buys. So I thought I would like to pick his brain, but also he probably has some like awesome old like IP games.
Oh, that's cool.
Next one I thought was a really good one, and I know our answer's probably the same. If we could play one game for the next 10 episodes, what would we play and why?
The obvious answer in the room is Marvel United.
Yep, Marvel United was immediately.
Because there's endless possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we both have mats, why not?
Yeah, we haven't even covered like a tenth of what we could cover for that game. We've covered a few expansions, but that's a game that we easily could do 10. We could do a whole separate podcast. So just Marvel United probably.
Yeah, you could fill a month.
And reach 100 episodes easily just with that.
Yeah, just on that, for sure.
Yeah, I thought that was one. I was like, obviously Marvel United. One of your favorite memories from the show, something that kind of stands out when you think about the podcast. Do you have one? Because I have one.
I have two, I think.
Okay.
One more recently, and then one from like the beginning. I think.
We might have the same one.
So the original beginning one is when you pulled out Villainous, and I went, whoa!
If I can get that audio, I'm going to play it a bunch of times in this episode, so I'm going to play it here.
Whoa! Yeah, it's like episode 3.
I'm going to play it here.
Whoa!
Yeah,
it sounded like somebody was removing something from my body.
That was like episode 5, and like we played a few good games, and I remember you were like, even before we did the podcast, you asked me about like Villainous and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I remember we were actually up in Oliver's room because we had to record upstairs for some reason in his room. And he
was napping in your room, I think.
Yeah, maybe. And we had a janky little table, our 2 microphones. And I remember pulling out Villainous. You go, oh!
So that's the one that I always think of a lot.
Okay.
And then the other one is the ghouls from the Summoner's War episode.
No.
And I was like, the ghouls. Cool. You're like, what do you mean ghouls? There's no ghouls in this game. I think, those are 2 moments that stand out to me. There was a lot of good ones from this year alone. Like the amount of effort and work we put into the Dune episode, like that was a lot of fun to do. So yeah. How about
Yeah.
you? Besides
Just
the whoa, is
the
there
you
another one?
woeing is one of my favorites. And then when I pulled out the Mickey voice, you acting surprised from that is like always one of my favorites.
Yeah, do it again.
Put me on the spot. Oh, hey, ARP. Oh. Maybe he'll give us a shout out. Hey, go see Lion King, #1 movie in America.
It's not.
I
Sonic
know.
was.
Oh, I know. I know that controversy. We're not getting into it here.
Maybe Papa Spice could talk about it on
Yeah, I'll
his show with you.
I'll
Definitely not.
pop a spice and
Don't
Mickey.
don't expect that invite back to previously recorded.
That's fine.
Brian or Mickey.
That's fine.
Please listen to our show.
Another one is are there any episodes that we would change if we can go back and redo?
Aside from the one that we did redo?
Did we do one for Gateway? I know for yours we did.
Yeah, our first top 10 we did twice.
Oh, did we?
You just didn't like the format or something. I don't know. There was something.
The flow of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like janky. We were figuring it out.
That was our first top 10, yeah.
No, I would say no, because
God bless you.
we are I mean, what would you change then?
So there's one episode that I think I took out of rotation because I was just so disgusted.
But we can't be positive all the time.
No, not in that sense. I unless it's still there, I took out the April Fool's episode.
Oh, where we rickroll people?
Yeah,
That's one. Fair. That's fair.
Because I re-listened to like a lot of the older ones, and that one popped up, and I was just like, ooh, like we just had no plan. Like we just went to. I remember I was like,
I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, I remember it was a Friday, and it was April 1st, and I said like, oh, like this is perfect. We should do an April Fool's episode. You're like, what's your plan? I was like, I don't know. I don't know. And then we recorded. We just like ad lib nonsense. The episode title was like a meaty board game.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just like, ugh.
I would actually redo the Back to the Future episode because you know how we did all like that, like playing with it.
Yeah, the time travel type.
Yeah, I would do it again, but make it cleaner.
Yeah, have like portable mics, maybe.
Yeah, or something like just very easily like plan it out. I would redo that because obviously Back to the Future is one of my favorites. Yeah, those are it really.
Not a great game, but a great movie.
Because normally, yes. Normally you're the overly positive one, and I am the one that kind of toes the line between. You know, I've never really totally took a dump on something, but so for that reason, no. I mean, I think it's very authentically us, and yeah, no, I understand the April Fool's episode for sure.
Yeah, that one's rough. I'm pretty sure I deleted it out of the rotation. If it's still there, it's still there, and it is what it is. But I
left one of my episodes up for previously recorded that I do not necessarily like, but I left it up because it's there. It's just there.
Yeah, I couldn't. It was so nonsensical that I was like, we don't talk about any games except games we're lying and making up about. And then at the end, we're both just awkward, like,
well, that's where you mentioned Paste Pot
Pete, the hero, yeah.
Yeah.
The great hero of Marvel Comics.
That was all your idea. So
I dropped the ball. That's why I chose to drop that one out of the rotation. If it's still there, go listen. It's awful.
Or don't.
Or don't. Which kind of leads into another question. Is there any ideas we've ever had that we never executed?
Yeah. There's a board game that's been on my shelf for 2 years.
Well, that's an episode we haven't covered, but what the plan that I've tried to get off the ground a couple times for I think like 3 years was Deck the Prospero Hall.
Oh yeah. And now they're gone.
But I had an idea where I was going to try to reach out to them and why
don't we just do next year, do R.I. Prospero Hall for Halloween?
There we go. Save it.
R.I.P.
Yeah. But my idea was Deck the Prospero Halls and just cover their games in December and like try to reach out to them. I was gonna try to write a jingle. It just never works out. We can never get like an overarching theme because my other idea was a Doctor Who episode where like the timeline gets messed up, and which led into our 100th episode, but it was like we're not neighbors, so we can't like make it happen where we get together, especially with the holidays. But
Also, I feel like people tune in and we're like, where the hell's the board game?
that's over 100 episodes. We could do whatever we want officially.
Do a lot
Yeah.
for us. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was an idea. Yeah, Deck to Prospero Halls is one that I'm really bummed out. I just couldn't get the work.
Just switch it to Halloween.
Yeah, maybe, or we'll just do it next year. Who cares?
Well,
We got
because they're
time.
gone. You could do R.I. Prospero Hall. R.I.P.
Yeah, true.
Whatever.
Maybe.
We'll see what happens, folks.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we get to there. Another one's just about podcasting. It's what piece of advice would you give yourself starting out?
Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I think just kind of there's not much. I think just don't worry about the numbers, have fun, and just like change things when you have to change things because we've gone through evolutions, like we've dropped stuff that we felt haven't worked. We used to do a lot more news that like isn't evergreen, so it's just like why is it there? Like if you're listening to the first episode 4 years later, we're talking about like news and board games that might not exist anymore, so it's just kind of like like I don't know, and I'm fine without them. And it's just I think I tried too much. Like I was like I want to do this and this and this, and it didn't work all the time.
The news is good as like an episode in itself because people, I mean, like that's interesting, like finding out what's going because you're listening to it now.
Yeah.
You know, if you're one of the stragglers that, you know, find the episode later, then it doesn't matter. But like you're putting something out now for the current audience to be consumed. You know, you can't be worried about that stuff.
But I was just like, I want to do an hour. Like I was trying to put so much in to make it long. And now I'm just like, 20, 25 minutes is fine.
I mean, previously recorded used to be hours. And now I just, you know, cut the guys off because nobody wants to hear, you know, a 3-hour podcast. I mean, some people do, but from people who do that as like their main job. But my advice would be if, you know, it's us or anybody out there who's like, oh, I might want to do this, do your research. Look, you know, at how consuming and how financially consuming it is. But for me, myself, have a plan, have a define your show, find out what you want to do, and kind of stick to that. And like kind of like what you're saying, because you had all these ideas and you know, it's easy to go off the rails if you don't because previously recorded's changed, like just like Gateway Gamers has changed, and you know, find the what you want to do and why. Why do you want to?
Find a niche.
Why do you want to do this? Yes.
Like get your groove. Yeah.
You don't have to find a niche, but you know, you could.
But it helps. It helps stay on track when you have like your goal and like your voice of your podcast. If you're just like, we're gonna go on and talk about pop culture, and it's like you're gonna go off the rails. It's like you have to kind of stay in a lane.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And find out like, you know, find out what you want to do and why you want to do it. Because if you just want to, you know, jump on the hot thing, then, you know, it's not going to last. You're going to invest all this time and then, you know, it's gone. But like, I had just always had a passion for talking about movies and TV shows, and that's what did it. And you have this overwhelming passion for board games, and that's why you know, wanted to start this, as well as us just hanging out. Which has been the best thing to come from this is, you know, our friendship. But yeah, no, that's all I would give. So nothing different, but I like wouldn't tell myself differently. I would, you know, I wish Anchor was around because Anchor's free. And when I first started doing this, I had to pay have my podcast hosted on a site. So, you know, it's more friendly now. It's like it's easy to do. Everybody's got a podcast.
Yeah, it's too easy.
Yeah, it really is.
It's too easy.
it's too easy if you're a celebrity because every goddamn celebrity has a podcast now, and it's like you're taking it away from people who actually have something interesting to say and that just aren't rich. I'm not saying that's us. I'm not saying we necessarily have anything
Yeah,
interesting to say,
we do.
but yeah, we do. We do. You're right. You're right. But no,
100
that's all
episodes. We have 100
that's
episodes
all I
worth.
would say is just really hone in on what you want the show to be.
I would also say bank episodes.
Oh hell yeah,
bank episodes before you put out that first one. Have 11 banked to like get the first year recorded before you release.
Yeah, and find the cadence you want, of 2 weeks or a month, and stick to it. Because if you figure it out, it's a lot easier to do than you're coming up, a couple days before you got to drop an episode and going, kind of like to your point, have them banked because you got to, oh crap, I got to throw together an episode, for a couple people who are listening.
Yeah, luckily, I mean, we've been pretty consistent about not. I don't think we've ever like missed a week. I've been late like a day or two, but luckily we have enough episodes now that I just do those matinee Mondays when I'm like really crunched. I'll just throw up an old episode, and like we get listens because they're just there. Like sometimes, so
yeah.
Like I have a bunch of podcasts, and I'll throw up like, "Hey, matinee Monday, it's an old episode," and I'll listen because it's just like, I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah,
like reruns for TV shows. I would love to like go back and mentor myself. I belong to a podcast like Facebook group, and like it's a lot of people who begin. I'm just like, like this is what you should do, or here's some ideas. It's actually where I met Tom and Kev from 20-Minute Tabletop Podcasts, and helped them out, kind of gave them advice. We became friendly with them, and they actually have something to say. So here they are.
Hi, this is Kev.
Hello, this is Tom.
And congratulations, RP and Brian, for your 100th episode. What an achievement.
Yeah, it's really good. I think we're about halfway there now, Kev, with the 20-Minute Tabletop podcast. But obviously our ones are not quite full feature length like the Gateway Gamers managed to knock out every week. Well, not every week. They've got a much odder release schedule.
I would say that 100 episodes is some achievement, especially us doing it now every week. I've got to appreciate for just how much time, effort, and hard work's gone into that. So seriously, big congratulations, guys.
Yeah, well done. It's nice listening to Brian and RP. It's lovely hearing. I think there's an irony, Kev, in the fact that RP in Britain stands for received can't even pronounce it. I've got COVID at the minute. I should probably say, if this is the first time you're ever hearing me, I don't normally sound like Mila Kunis, the actress, but I've got COVID at the minute. But in the UK, RP stands for received pronunciation, which is the standard form of accent. And RP doesn't sound like he should, is all I will say to the UK listeners.
I'd prefer it if the king sounded like RP, to be quite honest with you.
Me too. Anyway, what I would like to say is congratulations to you and all your work. And it's very clear, isn't it, that, we're separated by some giant bits of water. And yet, if we were nearer to each other, we'd all be able to sit around and enjoy a pint. And that's the standard UK measurement for a alcoholic beverage, if any of you in America are slightly confused about what that means.
Yeah, so well done, guys, on your 100th episode. Here's to the next 100. And well done on your recent episode on stocking stuffers. We're about to do a very similar one on 20-Minute Tabletop. So it is very much the season. But once again, well done, guys. And good luck for the next 100.
Yeah, well done. Well done. You should be proud of yourselves, lads.
Well, that was pretty great to hear from Kevin and Tom. I'm sorry. I don't know if to say I'm sorry or you're welcome that I don't sound like I should. But thank you guys so much.
I never heard of that. Received
neither have I.
Pronunciation.
Neither have I.
Which is their, dare I say, disgusting language at this. So
we all know they got awesome accents to our but to the boys over at the pond, to our boys across the pond, thank you very much for sending that in, and so it was great to hear from you, and maybe one day we will get to share a pint, which is I know what a pint is.
No, that made me laugh. They're like, I was like, pint's pretty international, but I don't like, they're not that special. So you don't sound like the king. Can you sound like the king? Let me hear your breast. Let me hear your best British accent as your King Charles.
I don't want to offend anyone, but I guess that would be my best king accent. I don't know if it's proper enough, but
Your whole face transforms.
well, I got to fit the role.
Mm.
You
Yeah,
know?
so Pint's pretty standard. The one that messed me up when I would communicate, I forget who I communicate with. They're from England, and he would say cuppa all the time.
Oh, cuppa. You need to
He's
give
like,
a
"Ah,
cuppa.
enjoy a cuppa." I was like, "I don't know what that means," and then
Can
I
you
realized, "Oh, cup of coffee or whatever." But I was just like,
cup of tea? Cup of
"Yeah."
tea.
I was
Can you
like,
do an accent?
"No, hello."
Mrs. Doubtfire? Oh, that's offensive. We had
I would
these
do
nice
the
blokes, these nice lads send us a nice video, and all you could do is Mrs. Doubtfire.
I would do like, yeah, it would just be the offensive Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like, oh, hello. Yes. I don't know. I could
Um,
never.
that's awesome though that they sent that
Yeah,
over. It's really cool.
them over at the 20-minute tabletop
Tabletop.
podcast is like, it's the perfect length. It literally is. I leave, I turn on my car, plug that in, start playing it. By the time I get to work, it's
Hey,
over. Yeah.
maybe we can take
We go to
take
20
something from
minutes.
we could take something from their book. I'll
I
apply that
don't.
to my other show.
God bless them. We're too chatty. Like
Yeah, we
it
are.
would just be like, yeah, I really like this game. This game's great.
We would have to. We would have. We always have too much to say.
Yeah,
That's
but
awesome though. Thank you guys for sending that in, and cheers.
yeah, it's awesome to work with them. Like I said, just kind of watching them grow from the beginning to what they are now is really awesome. What's let's see. Let me look at these questions.
Let me ask you a
Oh, okay.
question.
All right. Please.
What is the worst game that we've covered in 100 episodes? Something that you.
I was gonna ask almost similar because one of them is like, what was your favorite game, which is kind of generic. So that's a better one.
It's generic. And we've answered that enough.
What is my least favorite game that we've covered? I mean, we've kind of always joked that Machi Koro was one of them. I think pound for pound, Machi Koro was like the most kind of like boring game that we kind of covered because there wasn't much to it. It's not a bad game, it just wasn't good. I'm trying to think if there was a game that just like bummed me out. Like something that I was looking forward to we played we just didn't like, and I can't think of anything.
A couple. There's Funfair, which was
Funfair. We've kind of talked about. We weren't in the mood, but I have played that game since, and it just wasn't. That is one of them where like I definitely wanted to like it more.
Keep It Saxy or Let's Get Saxy.
I like that game for what it was. See, that game I knew was goofy, so that did disappoint me. Yeah, I mean that's
the card game that you'd like, the Dominion.
Yeah, Dominion wasn't great, but it wasn't again like it's because it, as we kind of said in that episode, it's been done. Like we've played so many other versions of that like going back to that.
The worst game I've played hasn't been on this podcast yet, and it never will be. Betrayal on the Hill House.
We've covered that.
Have we covered? Oh, because
because it was a crossover episode.
The weekend. Oh yeah, that's the worst one by far. I wanted to die, rather than play that game.
The worst episode the worst game I've ever played, I might save for an episode, but it's Labyrinth, the board game. Not Jim.
Yeah.
It's Jim Henson's Labyrinth. Is so bad that like it stunned me. I was stunned because I was so excited for it, and it was awful. Nah, I can't think of any games that we've played just because the games we kind of pick, I kind of know. Like these, like I know these IP games are going to work. I know like what we're kind of looking for. So I know a lot of the games. There's a couple of games that surprised me.
Back to the Future sucked. Alien kind of stunk. A lot of those games from Blockbuster Summer were not good.
Yeah, I'll say that. They weren't great. There's a few games that surprised me on how good they were. The WWE.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Wrestling card game was shockingly good. Man, I'm trying to think. We've done so many. Oh, Golden Ticket Game was one that I expected to be good. That was awesome.
Buffalo Games, right?
Yeah, like there's a few games that I remember just being like, oh, okay, here's the IP. and let's play it, and then like playing it and being like, wow, this is actually like really good. But yeah, there's not Jungle Cruise was like one that kind of was not great. But no, I mean there's not too many games.
I was gonna say you kind of cherry pick it, so
I kind of know like what's gonna work. Even we've had companies kind of reach out to send us games, and I'll be like, nah, that's not for us. So like I kind of know, like I'm not just gonna take any game and just be like, yeah, we'll cover it, and then
never cover it.
yeah, either never covered or poo poo on it. Like it's just not what
That's
I'm
how
looking
you-
for. Like I
yeah.
want to look for a good game to recommend. I'm not just gonna be like, yeah, send us that.
Right.
So yeah, there's not too many. Let's see, what's the biggest challenger on the podcast? Time. Do you have a favorite blooper or outtake from the show?
If I have, it's at the end of an episode.
Let's see what else like that. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. One of my favorites is just from your podcast. We just completely didn't record an episode. We talked for 45 minutes, but we never hit record.
That's one of the worst. I was beside myself. I almost gave up podcasting.
Yeah, you almost quit the summer because that was like the beginning of your X-Men summer.
Yep. Well, it saved me a lot of time. It saved me a lot of time.
Especially that summer. Oh,
yep. That was a long summer.
All right. Another great question that's kind of connects both of our podcasts. That if somehow this podcast were turned into a movie, who would play us?
Charlie Cox would play me. I swear I look like that dude.
I can say it.
Let's get
there you go. You're doing the face. You look just like him. I don't know. I think Jason Schwartzman. I don't know.
I can see that.
I've always there's something about him that I'm like, I like that guy. He doesn't do enough. It's just
all right. Now, who would you pick to play me? And I'll cast who would pick to play you.
Who would play? Who did you say? Charlie
Cox, Daredevil.
Cox, Daredevil. Okay, I would say the guy from I can't think of his name. The guy from The New Girl.
Jake Johnson?
Yes, yeah.
I can see that.
Jake Johnson.
That's thank you. That's very complimentary. Who would play you? That's a good question. I gotta find someone that's pretty tall.
Danny DeVito.
I don't know. I can see. Who's a popular actor? I can see Jason Bateman, maybe. Not looks wise, but like because you guys don't look the same. He's not as tall as you.
Also way older than.
Oh, is he? Is he way older than you?
Bateman? Yeah, I feel like he's like 50, isn't he?
I think Jack Black could capture your personality.
Yes, there you go, Jack Black.
But really, it's I would want Big Justice and AJ to play.
Oh, boo, both of them.
Yeah, they're the both of us.
Both of them would play. No, both of them would just play me. How about the Rizzler? Can't say I'm doing the Riz face.
I hate those guys.
Yeah, I don't. It's going on a tangent. Funnily enough, like I don't see them anymore. I just see the Rizzler, which makes me happy because I'm like, I'm glad that Rizzler has superseded their
he's better than
pop culture. Do my Riz face for the camera. But anyway, I think we could cut it there. We'll take a note from a 20-minute tabletop and end this before it gets too long.
That sounds good.
But I will say thank you to everyone who listens. Truly, thank you for the reviews. Thanks for the comments. Like, it really means a lot for such a really stupid little project that we are kind of doing. Thank you to URP for putting up with me and my insanity. And let me take the reins a bit, because we had Audra editing until we had to fire her because she didn't understand music licensing. You were editing for a while, then I learned how to edit, which I think is my biggest accomplishment from this podcast, is like learning how to edit audio. Not that's hard, but just giving myself that time. So I appreciate you letting me take the reins and annoy you and go a bit crazy with some of the things.
Well, yeah, some of the times I just let you rattle. And you're like you're saying earlier, all these grand ideas that I'm like, Okay, sure, whatever you want to do, man.
There's times, and I text you. I'm just like, we should do this, this, and then it's like, all right, what are we doing next episode? Oh, Jungle Cruise. I don't know.
Yeah, thank you, man. No, I appreciate it. It's always a ton of fun. Even when I necessarily don't want to do it, I always have fun. That's the one thing that I appreciate about somebody else having the reins is I kind of just got to show up, do my research, do my job, and kind of just show up. And you guide us to victory and success each time. It's always fun. We're always laughing on here, doing stupid bits, and I love you. I love the show. I love our audience, and I love playing games. So it's been great. Thank you for all the shout outs, everybody. We love you and we appreciate it. And if you want to shout us out some more, head over to our Redbubble and TeePublic store and pick up some merch because that's the best way to shout us out. Also, our 5-star review is good too.
Yep, Apple Podcast, Spotify reviews. You could comment on Spotify. So just feedback it up so we know we're doing a good job or what we need to change. And then, like I always say, if you like what you hear, you'll love what you see on our Instagram, Gateway Gamers. Check us out on there. And I guess listen to RP's previous recorded podcast, even though
I need the listeners.
They didn't congratulate us on their our 100 episodes, but
they're jealous. They're jealous.
Yeah, exactly.
That I'm splitting time. But just keep on rolling like a good gamer does, and we'll see you on the flippity flip.
Ta-ta.
Here's to 100 more. Ta-ta.
Yep. Peace.
Howdy and welcome to me, Mike, your board gaming every dude and the most interesting man alive. Brian, RP, congratulations on 100 years of Gateway Gamers podcast. Honestly, I thought you'd have more listeners than this after 100 years, but A for effort, gentlemen. A for effort. And might I say, you both look fantastically dapper for 100 years. Let's go, AI Life Extension Program. Who knew AI was going to not only replace artists, but life itself? Well played, AI. That said, I have a beef with you, RP. You somehow managed to be absent when I was the host and Brian was my guest of your podcast. Something you claimed like family responsibility. Pish posh. For that reason, I should choose to bring Poetry for Neanderthals as a party game for your grand finale Centurion episode. We will play in teams of 2. On your team's turn, you will have a word that you must get your teammates to guess, but you must speak as the Neanderthal we all know you are, using 1-syllable words only. The secret's out. Should you break the rule, I shall smack you in the face with an inflatable club while full well shouting, "No!" and you will lose points. This will continue back and forth until I win, however long that may be. Brian, RP, you will be missed in this your final episode. Age gets to us all. 100 years of Gateway Gamers. May you rest in peace when day it comes. Historicus, rememberus, gamers of the gate.